Yes, hello everyone, Fáilte Rash, Goody Cúilín Media. Welcome back to another weekend review show here on the channel. We have 3 out of the 4 here on this weekend review show. Myself, Seamus Brady, joined by Liam White and Matthew Hurley. And my God, lads, do we have plenty to get through. The Provincial Championships kicked off in the Hurling Championship of 2026. We had action from Leinster and Munster, including huge wins for Cork, for Clare, for Wexford, for Galway, and Offaly and Dublin played out an epic draw as well in O'Connor Park. We also had round 1 of the Joe McDonagh Cup, round 2 of the Christy Ring, Nickey, Rackard and Lory. And in the men's football championship, we had huge action. All Leinster quarter-finals took place and 2 Ulster football quarter-finals took place as well, with some huge shocks, including Meath being eliminated from the Leinster Championship, which no one saw coming. On top of all that, we also had the Camogie Provincial Championships kickoff, which we're going to get into as well. That saw huge wins for the likes of Tipperary, Waterford and for Dublin. Joined, as I mentioned, by Liam White and Matthew Hurley. We have a healthy number watching, lads. Anyone who is watching, please do get involved in the live chat. Let us know what your highlight of the weekend was. Gentlemen, we have a lot to go through. First of all, Liam, obviously myself and yourself can take a breath. That was some game in O'Connor Park. Finishes all square between both of our counties.
Yeah, I have to say it was a cracking game of hurling. It was one of the best games I've seen in a long time, and probably Offaly's best game of hurling in a couple of years, to be honest with you, just in terms of an attack and even defensively as well, which is a bit rich considering we conceded 228. But I just think it was a great advertisement for Leinster hurling as well, to be honest with you. Like, a lot of people probably expected Galway Kilkenny to be the standout game of the weekend from the province, and yet more people came away talking about Offaly Dublin from last night, to be honest with you. So, no, it was a great occasion to be there. It was a great game to watch. Hopefully it kicks life into the Leinster Championship now for the remainder of the season. And like you mentioned there, crazy results today, both across Munster and the Leinster Football Championship, which 1 or 2 I probably didn't expect, or certainly not to go the way that they did in the end. But yeah, happy to be back on the channel. We will digress from talking about any other sport in this episode, if that is okay with you two gentlemen. So, for undisclosed reasons, but yeah, looking forward to getting into it.
Absolutely. So Peter saying scared for the Dubs in Ockram. Aaron on the relief points. I think I might join him on those relief points if that's the case with Aaron. He is on his way back from Ockram, though, of course. After watching the Dubs, I was unable to make that trip today. Matthew, obviously a successful weekend for Cork from the hurling point of view.
Yeah, a very successful weekend, to be fair. Like, you know, you don't want to celebrate too much because it is the first round of Munster. Nothing's won as of yet. As Ben said in the post-match interview, it's only the first round. Limerick's next week. You have Waterford coming up as well in Walsh Park down the track. So look, it's a win. It's a good confidence booster. Good to see Barry Walsh and William Buckley perform well as well. But as we've learned down through the years, and I think Cork fans won't, well, I would say the sensible Cork fans won't get ahead of themselves as of yet. Look, nothing's won. No All-Ireland's won as of yet. And we go on for the rest of the season. But yeah, the games this weekend, very entertaining games. Westmeath and Meath, obviously unbelievable results in more ways than one, including the Sam Maguire placing it down or serious danger now dropping out of the Sam Maguire Cup, which should be talked about as well. But yeah, some interesting stories this weekend and looking forward to getting into it.
Absolutely. So we have the comments flying in, guys. Thank you so much for getting involved with it. It's a disappointing / tame enough start to the championship so far by the Offaly Dublin. In the hurling, I'd say maybe. I think the Clare Waterford game was a brilliant game. In the football, it has been anything but a tame start. Shocks taking place across the board. Brennan says, what a start to Munster hurling. Clare and Cork starting strong. Peter saying, lads, what was the... We'll come back to this, actually. Brian saying, only back from Ockram. Loads of improvement needed. Very gallant performance from Wicklow. And Woody saying, it's fair to say Cork get out of Munster. That's the only thing that matters to Cork, the All-Ireland. This question from Peter is very, very fair. So, lads, what was the crack with Joanne and Donald? Read they had a few words earlier. They did. They had another awkward interaction. It reminded me a lot of last year. Was it last year or was it 2 years ago when Joanne put Donald on the spot about the Tailteann Cup comments that he made, where he said it was a competition for all surrounds or something like that? My thing is that with both of those instances, it's pretty clear that she's gone off script there, because Donald Ogue's reaction on both occasions was like genuine surprise. Like, he didn't see that question coming. It obviously wasn't briefed. And they are to a very strict time slot. A lot of people don't know this. A lot of people who haven't worked in live TV or live like radio, they have a very strict time slot when it comes to how long they have to talk. So going off script like that, she definitely wanted to make the point. And yeah, they're very interesting because I think both of them, weirdly enough, lads, I don't know if you agree, I feel like both of them quite enjoy the back and forth like between each other. Maybe it could be, I don't know, a Kenny Cunningham, Eamon Dunphy style situation, or Roy Keane, Jamie Carragher, maybe.
It's a funny one. Like, I'd say, like, they're probably getting, I'd say they love winding each other up, and it's going to get clips online. It's a funny one because, like, look, sometimes you'd wonder, is this what people want to be listening to, you know, at the very start of the Sunday game, when they just want to be listening to the analysis before a game or looking forward to the games? And I'd say even Liam Sheedy and Joe Canning were kind of sitting at either side going, oh God, not again. You know, the two of them going at it. But at the same time, look, people will give out and people will say, oh, we don't want to see this or we don't want to hear that. Look, people loved it when you know, Pat Spillane and Joe Brawley and Colin O'Rourke would have goes at each other, or people would love seeing possibly maybe, you know, Gerlach Nan have a go at someone, or even Cyril Farrell, who, have to say, met him the other night at an event that was out on Thursday. Absolute gentleman. If anyone's not watched his Laker Gale, go and watch it. It's absolutely sensational. And just an out and out gentleman of the highest order. Huge respect for him. But look, it's good TV, to be honest with you. They're going to get ratings out of it. People are going to tune in. People are going to be talking about it for the next couple of days. Do they want it? Personally, I don't know, because, you know, look, I don't think Joanne is as good maybe as presenter as maybe Michael Lester was, but at the same time, I don't agree with
bar.
Yeah, well, it is a very high bar, to be fair, but I also don't agree with a lot of the flack that she gets online and the abuse she gets, to be honest with you. Like, I've met her before. She's actually a very, very nice person. You know, she's very approachable. You know, you can talk to her very, very easily. And look, I've met Donal Logue as well. He seems like a grand chap as well, to be fair to him. But look, I'd say secretly they're thinking, look, what can we say today, or what can we discuss that will, you know, get people talking? Whether Joe and Liam or whoever else is in the studio with them is enjoying it, I don't know. But look, it has us talking now. Only I think he was, but at the same time, all it takes is one thing to be said or one awkward interaction, and it goes viral. So look, I mean, we're here talking about it now, so I suppose, you know, they're probably getting what they want. You know, people having discussions about it. But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting one anyway.
Absolutely. So I think we've plenty of really good comments in there. Porter saying about the Hawkeye and Turles about how it was so slow. Yeah, that's pretty true. I was looking at it on the TV today, the Cork Tipp clash. Tommy Walsh as well. Yeah, he's a fabulous pundit, no question about it, and a great laugh as well. Like, he did an event for my club in the Bonington Hotel, I think, one evening. It was the lip sync show, one of those, like, you know, where everyone goes out and sings a song, and Tommy Walsh is one of the celebrity judges, and he's great crack. What he's saying about Joanne, she's very nice. I'm a fan of Donald too. It's just annoying. They need to move on. It's weird enough. I wouldn't say it's for views, because, like, everybody's tuning in regardless to watch the game, regardless of who's going to be on the punditry, regardless of who's going to be in the commentary. Everybody's tuning in to watch Clare versus Waterford. So my thing is I'm just like, just get on with analysing the game. But I don't know, maybe it adds in a bit of spice and everything like that to the broadcasting. And look, we're talking about it, so maybe. Yeah, I think it's time that we stop discussing other things ourselves. Maybe learn from the example we're trying to give, and jump straight in with the action. So let's start with the Munster Senior Hurling Championship. And there was only one game that really, really took all the headlines heading into this weekend, and that was the repeat of last year's All-Ireland Hurling Final. And it finished Cork 29 points, Tipperary 1 goal and 22 points in Semple Stadium. Matthew, I have to go to you first for this as a Cork fan. Obviously, with the echoes of last year's All-Ireland Final coming into this game, this was always going to be a huge one for Cork. You go into Semple Stadium. Tipp hadn't beaten Cork for over 10 years in Turles, and that streak continues. A fantastic win for the Rebels. Yeah,
really good second half performance, probably pleasing in many ways. As I said previously, like, nothing's won yet. It's the first round of Munster. You don't want to get too ahead of yourselves. At the same time, Tipperary only had 4 shots from play in the second half. You have to take into account that they were flat on the day, and they won't be as flat later in the summer, in my opinion. Their big game is probably next weekend against Waterford. But what it does do is it puts us under less pressure, I would say, going into next week against Limerick, going into Park and Keeve. But look, it's a decent result for Cork. William Buckley and Barry Walsh was probably the pleasing thing from today. Like Buckley was sensational, 6 points, 5 from play. Barry Walsh was very good at 4 points as well. The whole half forward line really chipped in, as well as with Shane Barrett and Darragh Fitzgibbon. And while I'm on Darragh Fitzgibbon, there's an interview on the Star Sport podcast where I chatted to Darragh, so check that out if you haven't already. Very good chat, and he scored 4 points today. It was a fantastic performance by him, and he seems to speak well as well on behalf of the Cork team as well. I think Rob Downey, to be fair, played very well at centre back. I thought he cleared up a lot of ball in the first or the second half in particular. Bit concerning in terms of our short poke strategy. We kind of moved away from that in the second half. Maybe it was just a fear of what happened last year in the All-Ireland final in terms of poking the ball right down the throat of the Tipperary defenders and then clearing it up. The sweeper system really, really detrimented us last year. But as the game went on, we just grew more and more confidence, and even players like Alan Walsh getting his first championship point off the bench was pleasing as well. So yeah, some positives, really good positives going to the Limerick game next week. I guess the free taking it needs more brushing up on. Like Alan Connolly did okay on the frees, but Tim O'Mahony missed about 3 in the first half from long range. Mark Coleman then missed 2 and the follow-up after that as well. So we need to nail down a longer free taker. Could that be Decky Dalton? He wasn't in the squad today. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes there, but look, at Ben doesn't want him on the panel. He's not good enough for the panel. That's just the straight up about it. But you know, it's a good win. It's a good win for Cork. But I wouldn't be getting my head myself just yet. It's early in the year as of yet. We'll go on to the Limerick game next week and hopefully get another good performance in that game.
Absolutely. So I think it's well said there about, like, look, the reality is Cork needed this win. This was more than just a Munster Championship win. It was a little bit of redemption for what happened in last year's All-Ireland final. But the reality is, Liam, as Matthew said, you know, All-Irelands aren't won in April now. You would have said May back in the past, but they're not won in April anymore. It's one step in the right direction. But the reality is Cork will know. And Ben O'Connor will be like, great win, lads. You know, a little bit of revenge for what happened in last year's All-Ireland final. But if you don't have the All-Ireland medal by the end of the summer, it doesn't count for much.
Absolutely. So, look, it was probably the perfect way for Cork to win this game, to be honest with you. A small bit, wouldn't say under the radar, but they won it not in the most convincing of fashions like they did in either the league final last year or the second round of Munster, or even like they did 2 years ago in Thurles. They went about their business. It was sort of like how they kind of won in the league this year. They went about their business. They won it in the end. Actually, it was ironically the same scoreline, only with the goal that Alan Tynan scored at the end as the league game. So that's kind of ironic. But no, look, Cork, it was an even enough game. I felt Cork started really, really strong. And I mean, I have to say, Darragh Fitzgibbon, I mean, I've said it for a long time. If I could transfer one player to Offaly from Cork, it would be him in a heartbeat. I think he's absolutely sensational. I mean, he had 3 points in the first 6 minutes. And then he had a Hawkeye, which if it went over, would have been his 4th after the first 6-7 minutes, which just would have been absolutely sensational. But I think the big difference today, there was 2 instances anyway. Cork went on 9 points in a row scoring spree ahead of Tipperary. Like at one stage they were 16-15 down. The next time Tipperary then got a score, it was 24-16 when they made it 24-17. You know, like that's a big shift in momentum from Cork. You know, getting on top of things, and their bench, you know, coming to the fore as well, but also their forwards. I mean, you mentioned about Connolly there. You know, he got 7 points today. 5 of those were frees. But you look at their forward line. I mean, William Buckley got 5 points from play. Alan Connolly got 2. Brian Hayes got 1. That's 8 points from play, you know, over the course of the 70 minutes, which is good from your full forward line. Your half forward line, I mean, Darragh Fitzgibbon, Shane Barrett and Barry Walsh all got 4 points from play. That's 20 points from play from your 6 forwards, your starting forwards. That is a fantastic return. Whereas you look at Tipperary, I didn't even think Tobin, to be fair, was doing that badly, to be fair to him. I thought it was a bit harsh to maybe take him off at half-time. But at the same time, look, when you have Darren McCarthy on the bench, you have, you know, Noel McGrath, all these players, is probably maybe understandable. But you look at Jason Ford, all of his scores came from frees. He didn't get any from play. John McGrath, you know, I thought he was marked very, very well today, to be honest with you. He only got a point from play. Conor Stakelum got a point from play. Andrew Orman didn't get a score from play. Jake Morris got 2 from play. Like, there's a big, big difference there in the gulp. Do you know what I mean? In the forwards getting scores from play and affording themselves a bit of space and taking their chances. So I think that's really where Cork won this game today. I thought Sam O'Farrell, when he came on, actually looked very sharp for Tipperary. I was kind of surprised maybe that I think he's thrown himself into the mix to maybe start next weekend against Waterford, because he's a very versatile player, can play wing back, midfield, wing forward. So be interesting to see what Liam Cahill goes with against Waterford. But no, Cork did the job. They did what they had to do. And I have to say, William Buckley for me was out of this world. He's a top class corner forward. To get 6 points, 5 from play, and you're up in the first round of the Munster Championship this year, you're trying to make a bit of a statement, is really, really good going. I do agree with Matthew. They have to nail down a full-time free taker. Like, pick your long-term or your long-range free taker, sure. But in terms of, 40, 50 yards out, you have to pick one. And that's that. Do you know what I mean? You can't be chopping and changing and saying, okay, we'll try maybe Darragh Fitzgibbon next week, or we'll try Alan Connolly today, or, oh, what if Brian Hayes could take a free? Just stick to one and you'll go a very, very long way. It's as simple as that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've said it really, really well there. Across the board, there's nothing but positives for Cork to take from this game. You look at, they've beaten Tipperary, bit of revenge for last year. The players that led from the front, the likes of William Buckley, Barry Walsh, these are new additions into the Cork team. And on top of that, they've beaten Tipperary to push them into trouble in Munster and start their Munster campaign really well. But on top of that, it's amazing for Cork because they've beaten Tipp, but yet the explosion of hype that we've seen previously around the Cork team hasn't quite hit the same way. So for Ben O'Connor, there is a mountain of positives to take from this, whichever way you spin it. They've beaten Tipp, pushed them into trouble, started their Munster campaign brilliantly. It was new players like William Buckley leading from the front, and a bit of revenge as well on top of all that for last year's All-Ireland final. And the hype hasn't got out of control from this. So, yeah, the reality is I'd be delighted if I was a Cork fan after this game. We've plenty of comments in about this game. Noel McGrath came... and easily there were 3/4 of the attendance there was Cork. Matthew, I'm going to ask you about this. Our good friend Dan always brings it up as well. There's plenty of comments flying in, which we love to see, guys. But yeah, I do agree. Like, I think at this stage you have to start talking about, Cork being the best fans in the country. Like, genuinely, like when you're talking about, that's multiple back-to-back games in away grounds where Cork have outperformed in terms of being in the stands, outperformed the home team.
Yeah, would they be the best fans in the country? I think they're certainly up there.
I think you have to give a shout to the likes of Armagh, Mayo, Dublin, Offaly as well. The way that Offaly got behind the under 20s. The way that Offaly got behind the 20s.
But that's the problem. I feel like Offaly, I don't want to be, giving out about my own county here, but like, I just feel like we don't get behind our teams when the going gets tough. Like, you look at Offaly Cavan in the league, there was 600 people at it. Actually, no, the biggest example I can give you is our All-Ireland final against Tipp 2 years ago was a sellout. Everybody wanted a ticket. People were giving out that there weren't tickets. But then the Joe McDonagh the following week, there was more Laois fans in Croke Park. I was at both games. Like, a lot of people who are desperate to support both teams will go to... Look, I can understand a lot of people not going to certain games, financial reasons and everything like that. I can understand and the price of, fuel nowadays. I can understand it. But the same people will then give out saying, why aren't people supporting this team or that team? Well, you're not doing it either. So I wouldn't rank off. When we have a bandwagon, absolutely, we're great supporters. But
every county is.
No, but in particular, I think us. Like, I think if Cork were to, I think if Cork were to like lose the next couple of games or fall off a small bit in hurling, I still think their supporters will come out and support them. I do think Dublin will come out and still support their team away from home in matches. Do you know what I mean? Considering they're going through a transition of football. Armagh, I think, will come out and support their team. Mayo, I mean, poor Mayo, they're just great supporters in general, and they've suffered a lot. So,
but weirdly enough, Liam, like genuinely, right? And I have hard evidence for this because of Dublin. I grew up every Leinster Championship game that I went to against Laois and Meath when I was like growing up, when I was like 7 or 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah.
That was kind of at the tail end of the Celtic Tiger and stuff like that. But every single game that Dublin played in the Leinster Championship would be a sellout or would be easily 40,000 plus in Croke Park for regardless of who we were playing. but that was because Dublin's football was entertaining. We were a bit mental with the way that we played. Plus, usually we'd make things quite difficult for ourselves, and often we would be at risk of being beaten. You didn't really know how the game was going to go. When the success came, the crowds still stayed the same, but it was when all of a sudden there was no threat of losing. That's when the crowds kind of went away, and you're seeing the Leinster Championship then have shite attendances because everybody knew there's no jeopardy in this game. Like, you know the result. The game was over before it even began. So weirdly enough, if Cork actually won multiple Munsters, multiple All-Irelands in a row at a walking pace, the crowd would actually go away. That's what would make the crowd dwindle, in my opinion, because I saw it with Dublin. You see, the flip side of it is Limerick's crowd always stayed strong because teams like Clare, Cork, Tipp, Kilkenny, Galway pushed Limerick all the way. Do you know what I mean? And Limerick kept having to overcome different challenges, overcome different teams. But if they were absolutely like whipping teams left, right, and centre, I do believe that like it would have dwindled a bit.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But I feel like we should get back into the game. Big shout, Cork are definitely one of the best fan bases in the country, if not the best in the game right now. But back into the contest. You mentioned as well, Liam, you mentioned that key period in the third quarter, and that was the period that decided the game. Jason Ford slotted over a free to put Tipp ahead 16-15 with a free on 43 minutes. Then Tipp went 13 minutes without a score, and in that spell, Cork hit 9 in a row. In a Munster Championship, you can't do that.
No, absolutely not. And especially going against a team that you did beat last year in an All-Ireland final, who are desperate to get back up there and to go and stop you on all cylinders, and try and essentially prove a point as well. But then again, you're right. You just can't do that against any one of the teams in this championship, to be honest with you. Like Tipp just left themselves way too much to do towards the end. Like, although Tynan's goal was a neat finish, it sort of came a small bit too late. They could have done with that a few minutes earlier. Like, they could have done with maybe Cork getting, 4 or 5 points in a row, get the goal, and then all of a sudden, okay, Cork are on the back foot again. Whereas they just done it, for me, they just done it way too late. I mean, I know it brought back the 3 points, but at that stage, I still never felt like Cork were in danger of losing it, to be honest with you. Or I never felt that Tipp were in a strong enough position that they were going to go on and even win the game, to be honest with you. But yeah, no, you're completely right. You can't go 13 minutes without scoring, and especially at home as well, because the crowd are going to become a bit, uneasy with you, and especially with Cork, I would say massively outnumbering Tipp fans today. They're going to be in high spirits and they're going to be driving on their team, and like the fact that with 10 minutes to go or something like that, Cork had conceded less than 20 points away from home in a Munster Championship game is really, really impressive, to be honest with you, and especially with the forwards that Tipperary have. So no, it was almost like the perfect kind of day for Cork. We won, not the biggest fuss in the world. We move on to Limerick next weekend. And yeah, look, Limerick will be looking at that going, okay, Cork are a steady team. Their forwards are going to be dangerous next weekend. We're going to have to be wary of that. And the fact that it's going to be in Portkeeve as well, it's going to be a sellout again. It's going to be a sellout. Cork and Limerick could play in the field behind my house and it'll be a sellout. You know what I mean? It's just that type of a game. But it's a shame. I'll be at the Offaly Galway again next weekend, so I won't probably be able to watch it, but I'll be looking forward to watching it back next Sunday.
Absolutely. So, Matthew, one of the questions that we were talking about on the run-in was absolutely about the fullback conundrum, really, that Cork have had. Kieran Joyce was deputised there again today. What did you make of his performance?
Solid. Tipperary didn't have really a sniff of a goal chance, I would say, up until the very end when things started to open up. So he played very well. I know the two Downeys did get booked, but I thought Rob Downey was exceptional at centre back. I thought, especially the second half when clearing up danger. Owen Downey probably needs a bit of time to settle into that position in number 5, but he did okay. I thought Mark Coleman was very steady as well at number 7. So look, I think half backs for now were decent enough. We're okay. Fullback, okay, Joyce played well enough today, but he needs more performances in that kind of role to play there as well. But you can't go against the fact as well that Tipperary, I don't want to kick a team when they're down, but I thought Tipperary were very, very flat. Very flat. I've never seen the Tipperary team flat in many, many seasons. probably 2 seasons ago when they struggled in Munster, to be honest with you. But they got 1-2 from playing the second half. They had only 4 shots from playing the second half as well. That's very, very concerning. And they just didn't provide Cork with enough questions, I would say, in the second half. And Cork just were much, much better. They were much sharper on the 50-50 balls as well. So look, Cork were good. I think Joyce played well at full back, and the half-back line played well as well. It seems like the problem has been solved, and the big but is Limerick won't be as flat as Tipperary were today next week. It's as simple as that. Limerick will be gunning for next week. They'll be a decent side, and obviously I still have Limerick as All-Ireland favourites. They are still a cut above everybody else, in my opinion, the way they performed at this present moment. But yeah, Cork, good performance today. But the real test will probably be next week in terms of Limerick and how they will put in a decent performance.
And on top of that, Tipperary won't be that flat again if they meet down the line in the championship. If Tipperary managed to get out the same way that they did last time, you wouldn't imagine that they would be that flat again. Woody's saying no real attempt at goal by Tipp until the end. Very unusual. Porter, of course, proud Tipp man, says, yeah, flat in the second half. Jenny saying, I'm sorry, but I had to check. If I was watching the Munster Championship at halftime, that was a brutal watch from a neutral. We're going to move on. Great start to the Munster Championship for Cork, no question about it, going away to Thurles and continuing the winning streak in Tipperary's backyard. And they are up and running in the Munster Championship 2026 under Ben O'Connor. We're going to move on now to the game which took place before, and that was the opening game in the Munster Hurling Championship. Clare hosting Waterford in Port Keysog. Clare 2-33, Waterford 4-21 in Port Keysog. Very, very entertaining game. A special shout has to go to Stephen Bennett. He scored 3 goals and 12 points, Liam, and still comes out on the losing side. I don't know if you've seen that TikTok from your man Mitch talking about that is not my fault. It's not my fault. It isn't his fault. He did everything he could. And to be fair, Waterford did put up a good showing, but going into Port Keysog, I just couldn't see anything other than the Clare win, especially when you saw the cavalry return, the likes of Shane O'Donnell into start, Tony Kelly back in the starting team. And yeah, 4 goals put up by Waterford. So still a lot of work to be done for Clare, but racking up 2-33 in the opening championship game is some going.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Racking up that type of scoreline in any game is impressive, let alone against, one of your fellow Munster rivals. I kind of figured Shane O'Donnell would be starting, to be honest with you. Like I said, if he's fit, he starts. There's no question about it. You can't leave a player of his quality on the bench for too long. And yeah, listen, he was just absolutely sensational, to be honest. His strength, the way he was winning fouls, the way he draws fouls as well is it's just a different class. He got himself 4 points from play as well. And yeah, have to say, I mean, I'm sure he'd still love to go up into space, but I said to my father earlier, I says going up to space must be great, but jostling and hitting Aaron O'Neill or Ian Kenny off the ball and drawing a foul in Ennis must be a much better feeling, to be honest with you. So no, Clare, I thought, did very well in patches. Mark Rogers, I thought was good on the freeze. Sean Rinn was absolutely excellent. I thought Tony Kelly just did what Tony Kelly does. Some of the points he was throwing over was absolutely sensational. Dermot Ryan, I thought, did very well as well in terms of his long-range shooting. He got 2 outrageous points as well from long range, which was very, very good going from him. Dermot Stritch, I've been a big fan of his for the last while, since seeing him for the UL team during the Fitzgibbon Cup. He's real hardy, young lad. Threw over 3 excellent points. I thought the 2 goalkeepers today, despite the fact that there were 6 goals, I thought both goalkeepers did well, to pull off some really good saves. I can't remember who was it from Waterford. I don't think it was Ozzie Gleeson. It could have been, I think it was Kevin Mahoney possibly. Chance at the end that Eibhear Quilligan pulled off the save from. Mark Rogers had a chance in the first half that Billy Nolan saved. Clare, I would be just concerned. They're shooting, not an issue whatsoever. It's their defence. 4 goals conceded. Now, like you said, Stephen Bennett was in a world of his own for Waterford today. 3-12. It's just absolutely, sensational. But it's not a great indicator from Clare conceding 4 goals. I mean, they conceded 3 goals, wasn't it? Or 2 goals. Cork scored 2 goals last year, wasn't it, in the first half against them? In Ennis in the first round. I think it was. Yeah. No, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. Yeah, Cork got the 2 goals, but Clare's defence just has been a small bit leaky over the last while. I thought it was a bit leaky against Dublin in the league final as well, to be honest with you. And I did worry from that. I sort of did worry from that perspective coming into the game. Now, I said Waterford had scored 122. I mean, they got 421, so that's a major improvement to even what I thought. And it shows that Waterford can get goals as well. And it shows if you go at this Clare defence, I can imagine Aaron Gillan or Brian Hayes or even Tipp today. They weren't firing on all cylinders today, but like you said, they won't be as flat as that again. I can't imagine they will be. They'll be licking their lips looking at that Clare defence today, to be honest with you. If they're afforded that much space and that many opportunities at goal, then they'll absolutely take them, to be honest with you. Dessie Hutchinson, when he was able to afford himself some space, was really, really good. He took his chances really, really well. He's a very pure strike of the ball. But then when he was crowded, I mean, he was doing nothing. Do you know what I mean? It was very hard for him to, maneuver anything, to be honest with you. He was very well marked in a lot of times during the game. I think it was 4 points he got in the end, not 3 points, sorry. But yeah, look, overall, Clare be delighted to get the win. It was a great goal in the end by Meaher as well, absolutely towering it into the net. In fairness, Waterford were just going for the game at that stage, so you can't blame them for being exposed at the back for the counter. But yeah, look, Brian Lohan, I'd say he won't be overly happy with the performance maybe, but he'll take it. It's a win. You move on. And yeah, they have a busy period coming up, but game one's done. 2 points on the board for Waterford. It's do or die against Tipperary next weekend. Ironically, judging by today, you could say Waterford might go into that game possibly as favourites, considering how flat Tipp were today and considering Waterford got 421. But I also don't expect Tipp to be as flat as that again, to be honest with you. And I said the same thing about Limerick going down to Waterford last year. I thought Waterford would beat Limerick, and then Limerick just turned on the style. So you could see that from Tipp this weekend. But yeah, cracking game to start off the Munster Championship, has to be said. Really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. I think the reality is Waterford are always going to be tricky in that opening game. And they will fancy a crack at Tipp after seeing, as Matthew was pointing out the stats there, Tipp weren't really on the ball. But Tipp will be very aware how precarious the situation they'll be in if they lose that second game. So I do not expect Liam Cahill to allow them to be as flat. The reality is Waterford did also only score 1-9 without Stephen Bennett. Like, he was absolutely carrying the can for them. But the goals and the way that they were coming, I was surprised, because you looked at especially Clare's full backline. Rory Hayes, Conor Cleary, Adam Hogan. On paper, that's an outrageous full backline. And then on top of that, in the half backline, you've got the likes of Diarmuid Ryan, Cathal Malone, Niall as well at centre half back, that was making his championship debut, of course. Matthew, what did you make of these two sides? Looking at them obviously from a Cork point of view, you're going to face off against both of them very, very soon. Where do you think they're at?
To be honest, Clare really, really impressed me in terms of their attack. Their defence, I get Liam's point in terms of conceding goals. It has been a concern over the last 2 years in terms of conceding these goal chances, not just to Cork last year, but to Tipperary, where they conceded 3 goals in the first, or maybe it was 4 actually, they conceded in the first half in Ennis. That was a concern, and they still haven't fixed that problem in terms of not seeing games out. Like today, like Bennett, okay, he got the 3 goals, he got his hat-trick, but even for Sean Walsh's goal, Clare, for a side that wanted to hold on to the lead and get the points in the bag, that was concerning, the way that Sean Walsh and Caleb Lyons, who passed them the ball, were waltzing through the Clare defence. That was very, very concerning. But attack-wise, they were absolutely lethal, I thought. Shane O'Donnell, absolutely sensational. Tony Kelly scored 4, assisted 4 as well. I thought he was brilliant. I thought Peter Duncan caused Waterford a load of problems in this game. He got a brilliant goal. Well, could Billy Nolan have done better for that chance? It's kind of harsh to say, because Billy Nolan had an outstanding game otherwise. But yeah, it was a goal for Peter Duggan anyway, but he caused them a lot of problems in this game. I thought Ian Galvin was very sharp when he came on, I thought, as well as Dermot Stritch, to be fair. A lot of people talk about Stritch and his championship debut was a dream kind of scenario for him getting 3 points. But Ian Galvin, I thought, linked the play very, very well, and he laid the ball off for Shane Meehan to fire home the last goal for Clare. So I think the subs made a massive difference for Clare. Now they have a panel together. That's a positive for them. I thought Sean Rinn around wing forward was very, very good as well. Ryan Taylor, very solid, even though he only got a point, or he only got a point himself. Like Dermot Ryan, I agree with Liam, absolutely brilliant as well. And even Mark Rogers with the freeze too. But even in defence, I know they conceded the goals, but Adam Hogan's block, I think, who was it on? I think it was Sean Walsh on it was near the end of the game. It looked a certain goal, but to be fair to Adam, he put in the hurl. What a block that was to take it away from him. And that was a crucial moment in the game as well. But from a Waterford point of view, Stephen Bennett, absolutely sensational with 3-12. But I thought Desi played very well. 4 points, all converted in terms of his shots, 100% shooting accuracy. I'm not going to lie. I thought when Austin Gleeson came on and when he was on the Waterford panel, I kind of feared for them, to be honest, because I looked at Austin in the club championship in Waterford for Mount Sion, and I thought to myself, he doesn't look in the right kind of frame of mind to be an inter-county hurler, I'll be honest with you. But he came on today, caused Clare a lot of problems, scored 2 points. I think the negative from a Waterford point of view, they were playing Austin around the middle of the park instead of playing him in the square. Now, they were playing Sean Walsh in the square for a long period of time, but I thought they could have brought Sean Walsh out. I think Michael Duyden talked about that, or Brendan Cummins, talked about that in co-commentary. They should have brought Sean Walsh out there. But to be fair to Sean Walsh, caused a lot of problems up front as well. I thought Jack Prendergast was winning a lot of frees there as well. Tried to Bork is still to come back as well. I think he was injured, but look, I think there is positives from Waterford point of view. They'll go into that Tipp game next week. I think it is a must-win game for them, considering they have Cork down the line. They have Limerick as well. They have to go to the Gaelic ground, so that is a must-win for them. They're well capable of it. They have some decent players there, and they performed well enough today. But Clare were very, very good. Not just obviously the key moments in terms of defensively, but attack-wise as well. 76% shooting accuracy is very, very good. And they took 46 shots as well in 70 minutes. Like, that is lethal. You have to say that from a Clare point of view. They were very good against Dublin in the league final as well. And they are a team not to be messed with in the Munster Championship as well. But yeah, very good game. Championship feel to it. And there was a few instances there as well. Stephen Bennett, I know he got 3-12. Could have easily received these marching orders in the first half as well. I'm sure we'll get into that.
Yeah, well, let's jump right into that. Well, what do we think? Should he have been sent off?
No.
I don't think he should have been sent off. But at the same time, look, it's a bad bang in the head. It looked a bad bang in the head, and Adam Hogan went down. And Bennett actually went over to Adam Hogan, to be fair to him, and apologised straight away. So I think he knew that he kind of hit him. But I'd say I was thinking this when I was watching it as well. Remember Adam Hogan after the Desi Hutchinson challenge last year? I was thinking to myself, the refs and the umpires might have clocked onto that, and they might have said, is he doing this again? But it was a bad bang. It was a bad bang. And look, they apologised to each other, so I don't think it was a red at all. And I think he made the right decision, the referee, to be fair. Now, when Johnny Murphy was the linesman, I feared the worst, to be honest, but nothing came of it.
Yeah, a Cúilín incident all over again or something. But anyway, we'll move on. We're moving across to the Leinster Championship. So the Munster Championship opens up with a win for Cork and for Clare. So now we're going to move across to the east in the Leinster Championship. We're going to start off with what the result that everybody had their eye on straight away when it popped up. Galway absolutely annihilating Kilkenny in Pearse Stadium. The second time in a row the Kilkenny have come away from Salthill after a miserable experience. Galway 325, Kilkenny 116 in Pearse Stadium. And as I said in my immediate reaction to this and the recap on the Leinster Championship round one, the thing that confused me the most about how this game finished was how this game started. Kilkenny looked like they were relatively dialed in. TJ Reid, Owen Cody, a lot of the performers looked sharp. Mikey Carey, I thought, started well. And then just Rory Burke bangs in 2 goals before half-time. Galway go in 2-8 to 9 points ahead. Jason Rabbit gets a 3rd goal in the second half. Aaron Island goes to town, finishes with 8 points. A second miserable trip to Salthill for Kilkenny. And the reality is, a lot of teams would be looking at that Kilkenny game now going, we've a good chance of beating them. And yeah, they've a lot to work on.
They have a huge amount to work on. I think now this could be the most open Leinster Championship we've had probably since 2019, to be honest with you. Like you said there, look, Dublin, Wexford, Offaly, maybe even, who knows, maybe even Kildare could have looked at that game and said, Kilkenny could be got at this year, potentially. I think the big turning point was the goal by Rory Burke, but it's just more, it's not even the fact that he scored the goal. My biggest worry for Kilkenny going into this game, when I saw the lineup, was Paddy Deegan, cornerback. I like Paddy Deegan as a hurler. I do rate him very, very highly. I think he's been even harshly criticised over the last year or two in a Kilkenny jersey. I think he's a fabulous player, but he's not a cornerback. He's absolutely not a cornerback in my eyes. He's an out wide wing player, possibly midfield player. Could play him centre back like they did before, but for me, he's not a cornerback. And you saw that the way Rory Burke turned him, ran in for the goal. It was a great finish by him. And then after that, Galway just took over. They absolutely took over. Like, the penalty was, I think it was a fair decision, and he dispatched it really, really well. Even if, what's his name again in goals? Jesus, this is terrible. I should be remembering his name. No. I know he was in goals. Owen, what's his name
Murphy.
again? Owen Murphy. Jesus. This is something.
You had something to drink.
Losing and setting in after 40 minutes. Christ. No, even if Owen Murphy was in goals, I don't think he'd have saved the penalty. I think it was really well dispatched, to be honest with you. And in fairness to Aidan Tillis, look, he couldn't do anything about any of them goals, to be fair. Like, they were all really taken well. But yeah, look, Kilkenny, I felt, were just relying too much on TJ to do something, or maybe Owen Cody. John Donnelly getting sent off absolutely didn't help them. And now he's going to be suspended for the Wexford game next weekend, which, if you'd have asked me before the weekend, I'd have said Wexford, they often perform well against Kilkenny, but Kilkenny should win that game in Nolan Park. Now you're sitting there going, John Donnelly's gone. That performance, there's going to be a few, nervy chatters in Kilkenny media over the next week, over this performance and what's going to happen next week. Is a crowd going to turn out to support this particular Kilkenny team, especially after the league campaign too? But yeah, Galway were just on another level. That is the truth of it. Like we said it, I even said on my own TikTok page, I said, I don't think Galway will put up the same scoreline as they did last time. They got 2 points less when you look at it. It's just this time they got goals instead. Do you know what I mean? So that's something Kilkenny are going to have to work on. Their defence looks very open at the moment. As much as they're missing Hugh Lawler, you can't just put it down to him being gone, because there's other players there too. Like Mikey Carey is a very capable player. Derek Corcoran, all these types of players. Mikey Butler, Richie Reid, they're all capable defenders. They're all really good defenders. So they've got to step up as well and show that they are a team that are capable of not just winning an All-Ireland this year now, but let's be honest, winning a Leinster. I can guarantee you now, if you told them right now you'd reach a Leinster final, they'd snap your hand off, to be honest with you. It's, I don't know, like, I was just not impressed with him one bit yesterday. Like, if TJ doesn't play, and even then TJ, as much as he did have a good game, he scored 1-1 from play. Cody only got the 2 points from play. Mossy Keown only got a point from play. They're going to need more out of their forwards and the rest of their players, to be honest with you, because if not, they could be in for potentially a tough period, to be honest with you. We could be overreacting. It is Kilkenny at the end of the day. Write them off at your own peril. But
they're already 11. They're already 11 years without an All-Ireland. This is the tough period.
But they have won 6 Leinsters in a row, and they've been unlucky, you could say, not to win All-Ireland semi-finals the last 2 years. So, yeah. But I mean a period of not winning Leinster, maybe not even reaching a Leinster final, going out in the quarter-finals of the All-Ireland. But in terms of Galway, listen, they're the team to beat. It's as simple as that. They're the team to beat in Leinster this year. Spoiler alert, I don't think, as much as yesterday went well, I don't see us beating them next weekend. I think at this stage, I agree with what you said the other night. If they're going to lose a game in Leinster, it's probably going to be the last game when they have Leinster already sewn up. They're already in the final and they can take their foot off the gas.
Will need to pull the rabbit out the hat again or something.
Something like that, yeah. But overall, Galway, absolutely sensational. Rabbit, Nyland, Whelan, I really like that forward line, to be honest with you. Rory Burke, sensational. Gavin Lee, immense. Darren Morrissey, all these players. Ronan Glennon, just overall a perfect afternoon for Galway, and they can't complain.
Absolutely. Plenty of comments flying in about this game. Sean saying it was always going to be hard replacing Brian Cody, but standards have slipped so much since he left. After the goal, their heads went down so quickly and they started getting players sent off so easily. My first reaction on the John Donnelly red card was I thought it was a little bit harsh, but it was the worst possible start to the second half. Worst possible start. Like, any momentum that you might have had, is absolutely scattered to the wind. Peg here saying, as a Galway fan, I would be very disappointed if we don't win a Leinster title this year. I think Galway probably will after seeing the opening weekend of action. I know that I've been confident in Dublin, but Galway just looks so good. Woody saying, I know it's history now, but Wexford won Leinster in 2019. It was Kilkenny who knocked out Limerick. Yeah, but again, that was a Brian Cody Kilkenny. That was a Kilkenny that still had the likes of Colin Fennelly, Richie Hogan around the panel. All those players are gone now. So it's very interesting. Peter saying GA plus lads were saying TJ shouldn't play every game.
That was outrageous.
Hands on the cup. What? Yeah.
I think that was an outrageous comment, to be honest with you, to say he shouldn't play. Why?
Yeah, he's still the best forward that they have.
And like, I'm sorry, like, what was he saying? That he should play against Galway, Dublin, Wexford. I like Richie Hogan, but Richie, come on. Seriously.
Yeah.
Judging by yesterday, I'd fancy us against you. Go ahead, don't play TJ. Go ahead.
yeah, I agree. Rest him against Dublin, please. Rest him against Dublin. I don't want to see TJ come to Parnell Park.
Love you, really.
I've seen that too many times, and I've seen him get out with the win every time. So yeah, stay away this time, mate. Please. Let us have something, will you? Diving back into the game. Matthew, could I get your 2 cents on this game? A very, very impressive win for Galway.
Yeah, funnily enough, actually, I looked at stats from the league game and the championship game, and looking at them, you wouldn't really, other than the goals, you wouldn't really tell the difference, to be honest with you. Galway had 51 shots in the league game, they had 41 shots in this game, but it was still 68% shot accuracy in both. Kilkenny had 29 shots in this championship game. They had 27 shots attempts in the league game. It's the same. It was the same. And we thought that once the championship would hit, Kilkenny would have a different kind of mindset. They'd be tuned in and saying, okay, lads, let's get ready to go here. And it just never really took off. Like in the first few minutes, okay, they got a few scores from TJ and Owen Cody. And while on that, only one player scored 2 points from play or more. That was Owen Cody. The rest of the team failed to hit 2 points from play. That's shocking. Sorry, no, that's just shocking statistics from a Kilkenny point of view. And they failed
to hit 2 points from play, or failed to hit more than 2 points from play.
Owen Cody hit 2 points from play. All the rest of them hit 1 point from play each.
Jesus Christ. That's not great.
It was just not a good day at the office for Kilkenny. It was just not Kilkenny-like in the championship in many ways. And Galway just dominated them from pillar to post. And look, it's Kilkenny, that's another story. They were absolutely off it. And teams might beat them in the Leinster Championship, but I wouldn't be surprised if Kilkenny turn it on the next few weeks. But they need a lot of recovering to do if they are to compete. And they need the likes of Adrian Mullen back in the team, because he might be a fella to change their dynamics or anything like that. But concentrating on Galway, they look absolutely brilliant. They've looked brilliant, to be honest, in every game that I've seen them this year, or every game that I've talked about. Even in the games that they did lose in the league against Limerick, against Tipp, and against Cork, they were absolutely brilliant. Like, their young players have really stepped up to the mark. Rory Burke, brilliant in this game. Jason Rabbit was, not only did he score 1-1, but I thought he was a great focal point for Galway up in the attack. Aaron Nyland converted these frees well. Ronan Glenn was good as well. Even Conor Cooney coming on, and Darren Neary, they put up their hands and said that we should be in the starting lineup. Conor Whelan linked up the play very well as well. I thought Daithí Burke and Patrick Manning in the backs were absolutely dominant throughout. And yeah, they look serious, Galway. They look a serious team, and I'd say they will go on and win Leinster this year. They look a very good side in that. And just one more concerning thing about Kilkenny. They had a wind at their advantage in the first half, and Galway got away over 20 shots.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, no, but that's horrendous. And I know the red card didn't help at all, but like as soon as that happened, I was like, yeah, this game's over now. Simply. It's done. But yeah, Kilkenny have a lot of recovering to do, starting with Wexford next week.
Absolutely. Woody here saying 7 Leinster titles in a row, and it's still a disaster for Kilkenny as a question. Just a couple of things just to clarify what we meant. He says, my mistake, they're going for 7 in a row. Yeah. The reality is that we're not in any way diminishing that achievement. That's still an incredible achievement to win 6 Leinster Championships in a row. It's still brilliant. But we always look at Kilkenny as like, same with Kerry, same with Dublin in the football, that like success is measured in All Ireland's. And after 2015, you would never have thought that it would have taken 11 years for Kilkenny to get back up to the top of the mountain again. And when you're looking at this game and how they're starting off their championship, combined with like a couple of years ago, the shock draw against Carlow and stuff, it seems like they're getting a little bit further away from the All-Ireland than they've been in previous years. It just feels like they're coming towards a point where they're going to need to, make a bit of a transition into the team and move towards the next generation. But they're still in a position where they're very reliant on the likes of TJ and players who did it in the past. So they're in a difficult spot, similar to where the Dublin footballers are, which we'll get to obviously later on in the pod. But yeah, fantastic win for Galway. Great statement made to open their Leinster Championship. And we're going to move on now to this game, which was an absolute belter. Offaly 4-22, Dublin 2-28 in O'Connor Park. Donald Burke's late equaliser snatches a draw for the Dubs in O'Connor Park. Liam, you were there at this one. Walk me through it. What was it like?
You shower of fuckers. Sorry for the language, folks. I'm still not over it. No, look, I was interviewing Donald Burke afterwards, and in fairness, look, he's an absolute gent. And I said to him, "What was going through your mind?" He just said, "Just hit it, just hit it, get rid of it." And listen, when you need a player of quality to step up in the final minute to draw your team and get yourself a point on the board, you need a player like Donald Burke. I said it to him as well. It was the most confident I'd seen him, take his frees in a long, long time. It just felt like every time he had a place ball, it was going over the bar, and that's that. You know when you just look at a player and say he's confident today, he's in the mood today. He was in the mood, it has to be said. Even his link-up play, I thought was really, really impressive. But yeah, he was brilliant. I have to say, I thought Dublin's midfield, especially in the first half, overran us, to be honest with you. Despite the best efforts of Cathal King and Dan Ravenhill, I thought Dublin's midfield in the first half in particular was absolutely sensational. Donoghue and Burke. The goal from Donoghue was really well taken. And it was funny, like the fact that Dublin got a goal and then we got a goal 30 seconds later, and then the same thing happened just in the second half instead, the other way around. It just showed you how crazy the game was. But look, Dublin played a really, really good first half. I mean, to score 118 in one half is absolutely fantastic. But much like Clare, Dublin will be concerned conceding 4 goals. Absolutely. And if I was to take away my, say, Offaly hat, if I was looking at it from a neutral perspective and you were looking at it from a grander scheme of things, you'd be thinking to yourself, right, Dublin have conceded 4 goals against Offaly, who were a Joe McDonagh team 2 years ago, who, just about survived the Leinster Championship last year, lost every game in Division 1A. What would Galway, Kilkenny, possibly even Wexford be thinking then? They could be looking at that as well, thinking we could get a couple of goals against Dublin. Do you know what I mean? So, but having said that, the 4 goals that Offaly got, I mean, they were just absolutely magnificent. Adam Screeney's goal was just really, really well taken, especially when you've Owen O'Donnell chasing after you, who's a big machine in comparison to Adam Screeney. The way he took it, it was sort of similar to how he got the goal against Wexford in the under-20 Leinster final 3 years ago. Just the way he opened up the shoulders on his left-hand side, buried it into the back of the net. Shane Rigney's goal, I would probably say Brennan would be a bit disappointed he didn't save that, but it was an awkward bounce in front of him. And when Rigney just takes off like that, he's very, very hard stopped, to be honest with you. And I was delighted for him because there was a lot of lads who made their debuts yesterday in the Leinster Championship, and you'd swear some of them had been playing there for a long time. They just looked so comfortable out there. Some people giving out about the attendance. In the stand, it didn't look full, but in the terrace, there was a lot of people there. It was actually the terrace was nearly full. The tickets were cheaper. The sun was out, albeit it did rain a small bit. But, I wouldn't worry too much about that perspective. Charlie Mitchell probably who was it last night? Damien Lawler said it on the Saturday game, his hero of the year so far this year. Look, knowing Charlie personally, I just wanted him to be all right these last couple of months after what he's gone through. And the fact that once I heard he was back in training, I was just happy that he was okay, and I was happy that he was able for all that. The fact that he went out and did what he did yesterday, scoring 1-3, getting the man of the match on GA+, it's just a true sentiment to the character of the guy. Probably could have done with him up front for Arsenal today, ironically, but he's an Arsenal fan as well, so he probably won't be too happy after this weekend. But he was absolutely brilliant. The goal he scored was fantastic. The goal that Dignan scored was really well taken, but it was the work of Adam Screeney. The way he caught the ball and laid it off for him was really, really well taken. But overall, a pulsating game of hurling. James Owens, not his best game. I don't think he was great for either side, to be honest with you. Dublin had a few calls that were a bit harsh. We had a few calls that were a bit harsh. not his best game again, to be honest with you, but it was a cracking game of hurling. Really, really enjoyed it. It was great to be there. I hope we can kick on from this now, and I hope it's not just a flash in the pan for us, to be honest with you. And equally for Dublin as well. They've Kildare in their next game. I think you'll beat Kildare, to be honest with you. It's at home, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's at home. So I'd expect Dublin to win that game, and you go from there. But yeah, cracking game of hurling. Probably the game of the weekend, to be honest with you. And I'd say GA Plus are absolutely over the moon that they showed this game rather than Kildare Wexford, to be honest with you. But yeah, no, a lot of great hurling from both sides, and yeah, it was a pleasure to watch.
Absolutely. So, well, our final member, Aaron Prendergast, back in the door from Ockram, says, well, lads, couldn't make it on today, is not long in the door from the game. But he also says, Dublin were absolutely brutal today. Wicklow should have won by 4 or 5. Could be the only championship game that Dublin win this year. Strong words, and we're going to see the highlights, obviously, on the Sunday game as well. We'll have this wrapped up by 9:30, folks. But, yeah, plenty to discuss from that game, which we're going to get to in a moment. But this Dublin-Offaly game was an absolute cracker. I think the draw is the fair result. There's 2 ways to look at this from a Dublin perspective. You can look at it and focus on the negatives that, look, we conceded 4 goals. We did look open. Sean Brennan was forced to make an amazing save right at the death to keep us in the contest. Or you can look at it and say, we were really, really in a precarious situation and we managed to get something out of it. We could have collapsed under the pressure of the Offaly crowd, the Offaly attack, the Offaly work rate. But instead, we battened down the hatches and managed to get a draw out of a very, very dodgy situation. And I think there's more of a positive to take, because if you look at it, Offaly's trajectory has only been going up for years. They proved in this game why they were in Division 1A this year. Forwards, I thought, were absolutely brilliant. Adam Screeney, I thought, was fantastic. The way he snapped the ball across to Brian Dignan for the first goal, the way he took his own goal. And yeah, he looked like he was a real maturing performance for Screeney. And I think him in the championship this year for Offaly would be definitely something to watch. Sean saying the other Offaly lads stood up as well. Could have a dark horse for the 3rd spot in Leinster if Kilkenny's woes continue and Dublin don't sort out their defence. So yeah, we're going to focus on the next game up. Offaly and Dublin share the spoils in O'Connor Park. The next game is Kildare versus Wexford. And so Wexford opened their championship campaign for 2026 with an 8-point win over Kildare in St. Conleth's Park in Newbridge. No surprise who led the way for Wexford. Lee Chin with a goal and 12 out of their tally. His goal, which came right at the death, put the icing on the cake for Wexford. The reality is, Matthew, they've got out of a very, very tricky place to go with the win. So job done from a Wexford point of view.
It is, but lots of people might have gone after Liam for that prediction in the Leinster round robin, putting Wexford bottom. But I will say this: look at the statistics on this game. The score from play was Wexford 110, Kildare 110. The difference in the game was Kildare not being, I would say, experienced enough in their fouls, and Wexford having that experience. That was the difference. Kildare could have easily beat them. Kildare were ahead. I watched the highlights on the Saturday game last night. Kildare got the first score the second half. They went ahead then, and they weren't really properly over the hill until Lee Chin cracked home his goal right at the end of the stoppage time. So Wexford really got out of jail in this game. Look, Kildare, I think Neil McManus mentioned last night as well, Kildare would be absolutely devastated by this, because it was a game at home. It was a game against a Wexford team that was fragile, to be honest with you. 112 from Lee Chin. Like, to score 10 points without Lee Chin. Again, the same kind of problems flare up for Wexford. I don't think... Look, you could talk about Kilkenny being in a bad state. You could talk about Dublin having a bad defence. You could talk about Offaly being inexperienced. The frank reality is Wexford are not good enough at this present moment in time if Lee Chin gets injured or he's not available. It's as simple as that. They're not good enough.
Yeah, it's just more so I'm looking at it going, if you do what you always do, you get what you always got. They look exactly the same as they have for the last 5 years. Like, that's the harsh reality. They don't look like they've progressed really at all. And under those circumstances, sometimes you have to take a couple of steps back to take a few steps forward. And I don't see them going any further. Maybe they could get 3rd place. I wouldn't be surprised if they got 3rd place. Actually, I would be a bit surprised, but I wouldn't be stunned. But I don't see them really going any further than the quarterfinal.
No, like in the quarterfinal against a Munster team, like imagine if they come up against the Munster final, say Cork. I'm sorry, but they'll get absolutely blitzed. if they continue the way they are at this present moment, they're going to get absolutely hammered later on in the summer if they get out of Leinster. And look, it's just the way, just where Wexford are right now. They're underperforming. Like, even when I seen them in that league game,
Are they underperforming though? Is it a case that the players that they had in that 2019 are just haven't been replaced to the same level?
They're just way too over-reliant on Lee Chin. It's as simple as that. And even without Lee Chin, like Simon Roach is popping in with a few scores, but there's just nobody to take up the mantle. Like, even the likes of Jack Rapeman scored 3 goals and 3 points against Kildare in the league. He wasn't on the score sheet last night. He probably wasn't playing. Like, I'm just wondering, like, you have that kind of performance against Kildare. Okay, it might have been a league game that meant nothing, but he scored a hat-trick. Give him a chance then. It's a simple, like, it's, I don't know, it's just weird kind of decisions, just over-reliance. They haven't kicked on, and it's just kind of depressing to watch from a Wexford point of view. They aren't really kicking on. And as I said about Kildare, they will be disappointed last night in how that game went, because they would have targeted that game, no doubt about it. They have to go to Tullamore, I think, against Offaly. They have to go to Parnell Park against Dublin.
Newbridge.
No, that one, Offaly is in Newbridge. Is that the final game? I'm right in saying, Liam?
Yeah, we're playing Galway next, Kilkenny at home, Wexford at home, and then Kildare away.
Okay, so that game could be crucial. I think one game that's going to be massive is the Wexford Offaly game. I think that one will be huge in terms of what way both counties are looking. But like it's not out of the realm of possibility, lads, that Kilkenny end up in trouble. That's not out of the realm of possibility at all.
No, Kilkenny won't end up in trouble.
They're
too much of a big team. They won't end up in trouble at all. But even look at Offaly compared to Wexford. Like, Liam complained about this in fairness with a criticism of Offaly that they were too over-reliant on Adam Screeney during the league. Would I be right in saying that, Liam, in terms of that kind of criticism? But you look at the scores for Offaly last night. Okay, Adam Screeney got 1-9. Charlie Mitchell got 1-3. Brian Dydon 1-2. Dan Burke 3 points. Shane Reekney got a goal and could have easily got a goal in the second half. There's more of a spread in Offaly right now than there is in Wexford.
Our thing with that was we didn't have Shane Reekney in the league. We didn't have Charlie Mitchell in the league, which were two absolutely, particularly Mitchell, two absolutely massive misses. Duignan, Brian just wasn't performing at the same level in the league. Like, last night was his best game this year, without a shadow of a doubt. Like, he did what you want your full forward to do. He got the goal. Adam did the work. He absolutely did, but Duignan finished it. Duignan got 2 more points, and he was actually working hard in the second half because he wasn't on the ball. I actually don't think he touched the ball in the second half. I could be wrong in saying that, but I don't think he did. But Dublin knew he was a threat. So then he was being, man-marked, but then they forgot we still had Screeney, we still had Mitchell, we had Dan Burke, who, like you said, Dan Burke probably wasn't performing in the league at the same levels as he did last night either. But at the same time, as Johnny Kelly said, when the injuries came, they had to pick and choose their battles in the league, which is completely fair. And the championship is the most important thing at the end of the day. I would have, if you said to me at the start of the season, if we go and beat Wexford and beat Kildare and we get third spot, say, if you'd have said to me at the start of the year, okay, you're relegated from Division 1A, you lose every game, but you get an All-Ireland quarter-final. Every Offaly person bites your hand off for that. You develop the young players, like you said, maturing performance from Screeney, maturing performance from Burke, from Cahill King, from Rigney, all these guys. Duignan looking back to his best last night. And like you said there, Wexford don't have the same spread of scores at the moment. Like Chin, another match that Chin got 112 out of 122. And I even saw the highlights last night. Kildare goalkeeper handed him a few of those scores as well. So
yeah. No, like I do think personally, I do think Kilkenny will be safe. But I still think, like, as we see with Spurs, if you're in terrible form, you can fall quickly. Like, because you can kind of implode on yourself. I still think they'll be too strong to lose to Kildare. I still think they'll probably shade it against Wexford unless Wexford do the rabbit out the hat trick again. And I still would be wary that they will come to Parnell Park needing a win, and that could put the fire in them to beat us. But I think they're my point is they are as vulnerable as I've ever seen them. And it will be interesting to see just how vulnerable they are. Because we see it with Spurs in a sport, for example. It doesn't matter how good players you have. If you're in terrible form and you're vulnerable, things can fall apart quite rapidly. But I do think they will still get out of the Leinster Championship. But I don't think they'll pass with flying colours. But yeah, that's the Leinster Championship round 1 recapped. We're going to move on now to the Joe McDonagh Cup round 1. Liam, I'm going to give you this one. We had Antrim losing to Down. Down staple their name down as the Kings of Ulster right now in hurling, beating Antrim in Dunloy 122 to 23 points. We also had Carlow beating Laois 417 to 117 in Cullen Park. And we also had Westmeath beating London 122 to 15 points in Ruislip.
Yeah, Donald Hughes is back to terrorise Antrim again. Jesus, like Neil McMahon said last night on the Sunday game, like Antrim are probably in the worst state that they've been in a very, very long time. And you would worry for them at this present moment of time, losing at home to Down, which, listen, credit to, to Ronan Sheehan and his management team. They've brought Down along massively over the last number of years. And this is a huge, huge win for them. In terms of even Ulster hurling as well, could we get a return of the Ulster Championship? We'll wait and see over the next while. Maybe if Derry could, I suppose, improve a small bit over the next couple of years as well. You never know. But
Tyrone as well. Donegal.
Tyrone had a great win today. Donegal are making good progress, so we'll wait and see. But yeah, look, this is a great win for Down hurling. Probably their best win that they've had in a long, long time. Their standout players, Pearse McCrickard and Tom McGrattan, Dahi Sands, these players, Finn Turbin, just these players turning up again. Hughes as well, got the winning goal in the league. He's got the winning goal again here. But for Antrim and for Davy, this is dangerous, dangerous territory. They were very lucky not to get relegated from the league. I think I might, off the top of my head, I can't remember. I might have predicted it to be a Laois. No, I think I said a Laois Carlow final. I'm very much still confident. Despite Laois losing to Carlow, which I'll get onto in a second, I still don't have faith in Antrim to go and get themselves to a Joe McDonagh final. I can't see Davy staying on past this season anyway. I think this has kind of run its course now, to be honest with you. But yeah, Antrim are in a serious, serious bit of bother now after that. And with Laois to come next weekend, it's not looking like it's going to improve from that perspective. In terms of Carlow Laois, I can't lie, seeing us drawing with Dublin and being essentially pissed off to have drawn the game and then seeing Laois lose to Carlow did cheer me up a small bit, as well as my friend texted me that Brighton have scored a last minute equaliser. I suppose Saturday wasn't too bad. But yeah, Carlow just came out they were just absolutely on fire. I mean, Chris Nolan, James Doyle, who I rate extremely, extremely highly, Marty Kavanagh, Jack Tracy, some really, really underrated players in this team. Well, not underrated, we know how good they are, but if they were in other counties, they'd be superstars. They're super players. Carlow had a bad league, but it makes no difference. Carlow are just a funny team. They're capable of beating the best sides in the country, but then they're also capable of losing to an Antrim. Do you know what I mean? Like who are in a bad state of form right now. Do you know, they're just that team. It's kind of funny to watch, but it's hella entertaining, do you know? But to score 4 goals in the opening weekend, and I saw some of the goals last night in the Saturday game, really well taken. Tommy Fitzgerald won't be too happy with this type of a performance, to be honest with you. The fact that Tomas Keys was kept scoreless is extremely well done by Carlow. Now, he did set up the goal for Ben Conroy, but overall, this will not go down well in Laois, to be honest with you. A very, very bad weekend from their perspective, but I think they will bounce back and beat Antrim next weekend. In terms of Westmeath, London, look, Westmeath got the job done, flying over to London. London are making great strides, there's no doubt about that, and they'll take a lot of positives from this game. I think Westmeath will just be happy to get out of there with the victory. David Williams, their standout performer, with 10 points, 6 frees. Their goal coming from Owen Keys, who got a goal and 4 points, who was really good as well. But overall, look, for Westmeath, it's 2 points on the board, and they'll move on from it.
Absolutely. So we're going to put the skates on as well, lads, because obviously we want to get this wrapped up before 9:30 so that everybody watching can go catch the Sunday game as well. Matthew, I'm going to come to you next for the Christy Ring Cup. We had obviously 3 huge games taking place in round 2. We saw Meath beating Roscommon away in Dr. Hyde Park, 28 points to 212. Wicklow shading a tight contest against Derry, 212 to 114. And Ockram, obviously Aaron caught that one as well. He was there for the Wicklow Dublin game. And then Kerry beating Donegal 518 to 222 in Austin Stack Park, continuing the Kingdom's good run of form. Your thoughts on round 2?
Yeah, good win for me yesterday with Tom shining with 12 points. I love the pun there. Very, very good display from me point of view. Look at the other Christy Ring Cup games. Look, don't want to toot my own horn, but I did say Wicklow would be a force to be reckoned with in this grade, and they seem to be doing very well at this present moment. 2-12 to 114 win over Derry, and 2 Doyles and Podge and Jack with 2-8 between them was absolutely crucial for Wicklow. It was a brilliant win for them. And for Kerry to beat Donegal, like Podge Boyle got 3-2 off the bench, which is very impressive from him. And Kevin Gooley got 2 goals from midfield. So very good display from Kerry in beating a very good Donegal team as well. So Kerry and Wicklow seem to be in the box seat there in terms of the Christy Ring. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they get on for the remainder of the competition.
Absolutely. So, well, I don't know if Liam has disappeared into a bunker. He was going to get the Nickey Rackard Cup next. So if it's okay, Matthew, I'll go straight back to you. No, Liam has returned. Brilliant.
Sorry, I was plugging in the phone. Sorry.
No bother. But yeah, Nickey Rackard Cup is up for you, Liam. We had obviously Fermanagh beating Armagh 220 to 122 in Brewster Park. Sligo beating Louth comfortably 131 to 10 points in Markovich Park. Eye-catching, and obviously bouncing back from their defeat to Tyrone in round 1. Tyrone continue, meanwhile, their incredible form. 5 goals they put up. That's 9 goals in the first 2 rounds of the Nickey Rackard Cup for Tyrone. They beat Mayo 5-16 to 125 in McHale Park.
The fact that they scored 5-16 and very nearly didn't win the game says a lot about the game of hurling nowadays, to be honest with you. But no, that's a great result for Tyrone to go away and beat Mayo, who were playing games against the likes of Kerry, Westmeath and Laois this season already, is really, really impressive going, and especially to go do it away from home as well. So big win for Tyrone there. From what I can judge on Scorpio, Michael Little got 6 points and Niall McGarrell got 2 goals. So really, really impressive there from Tyrone. Not surprised by the Sligo result, to be honest with you. They're a team that probably are stronger than, I think they're a team that probably should be in the Christy Ring, to be honest with you. And to put up that type of a scoreline, 131 is extremely, extremely good going. So yeah, not much of a surprise there from that. You had Andrew Kilcullen, who got 12 points. Quite enough there for the O'Kelly Lynchers, only getting 3 points between the two of them. But I mean, it just shows that they didn't need them, to be honest with you, against Louth. So a really, really impressive win there. And then, yeah, Fermanagh getting a 1-point win over Armagh. I mean, that just sounded like an absolutely cracking game, to be honest with you. Jimmy Tormey getting the point to win it for them in the very, very last minute. And yeah, look, delighted for Fermanagh. One of my best friends was on the Fermanagh panel last year for a couple of months. I don't think he's on it this year, but you know, I was kind of keeping an eye on some of their games last year. Not happy that they didn't play him a lot, but that's for personal reasons. But no, delighted for Fermanagh. Great win for them. Sorry to poor Killian, the football genius, Armagh losing in the first round in the hurling. But no, great win for Fermanagh, and really cracking start to the Nickey Rackard weekend.
Absolutely. So we're going to move now to the final competition, the Lory Cup round 2. Matthew, we had a double header in Park Naharan that saw Lancashire lose to Leitrim 226 to 215, and it was followed up by Longford beating Warwickshire 424 to 312. 2 eye-catching wins there for Longford and Leitrim respectively. Meanwhile, back in Ireland, Monaghan beat Cavan 322 to 115 in Clonus, the first of the double for the Farney Army over the Breffni men.
Yeah, it was a brilliant win for Monaghan and Cavan. A lot of people, including E3, to be fair, said Cavan would win the Lory Mar. I had my doubts after their league form, and it seems to have transferred into the championship right now. Like, to be fair to Monaghan, you have to give them a lot of credit. Niall Arthur got 114, Ethan Flynn got 1-2, and Niall Garland got 1-1. So a good display from them. Longford, they were my tip to win it, and they seem to be flying over a good Warwickshire team, to be fair. They are a team, they're capable of getting results. So to beat them by that margin is impressive. And then for Leitrim to beat Lancashire was a good display from them. Danny Miller got 112 and Colin Canning got 1-7. So good display from both of them as well. So yeah, it seems like Longford would be the front runners for the Lory Mar, but we'll see if Cavan can bounce back from that result. It is a serious result to take. A bit of a hammering off their nearest rivals as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back.
Absolutely. A question there from Ryan about where did New York come in. Is it exactly the same as it was last year with the Lory Mar, that they just come in at the semi-final stage in the Nickey Rackard now this year?
Semi-final Nickey Rackard, as far as I know. Yeah.
Very good. Well, that's the hurling recapped. Plenty to discuss. And we've discussed it all and broken it all down. But if anybody has any comments further about the games, do throw them in. But now we're going to move across to Gaelic football, our second of 3 codes. And after the Leinster and Ulster quarterfinals, we will move on, of course, to the Camogie action. But we have to start with this game. When we were doing the weekend preview show, I think we went in order of what game was most likely to have a shock. Kildare Laois was what we put first, then Louth Wexford, then Dublin Wicklow, and the last one we put was this one. Meath versus Westmeath. Meath 25 points, Westmeath 418. In O'Connor Park, Westmeath dump out one of the hottest favourites for provincial honours this season. The Royal County are out of the Leinster Championship. Matthew, did you see that coming at all?
No, I'll be honest with you. It was simply because Meath were in such a good place after winning Division 2. They only lost one game competitively till today, and that was the game I was coincidentally at against Cork. And I said it before, I'll say it again, that game could have gone either way in Páirc Uí Rinn. Could have gone either way, and Meath were definitely worth a win in that game. This game shocked me basically because Westmeath failed to get promoted for Division 3 and Meath obviously got promoted from Division 2 and according to the National Football League rankings, they're the top team in Leinster. But it's fair to say now that's 2 years in a row where the Leinster Championship was up for grabs and Meath haven't won either of them, which is... It's kind of crazy to think in many ways with the players that they have, the performances they've been giving under Robbie Brennan. But the story has to go to Westmeath. It's a remarkable win for them. Not only it was just above their rivals and things like that as well, to beat them the way they did, to get the 4 goals, and even the goal at the end from Danny McCartan. I've seen a clip on Leinster GA's Instagram. They were celebrating wild on the bench. I'm not sure was that the final hooter with Danny McCartan's goal, one of the two anyway, but it was absolutely incredible scenes on the bench in Tullamore, and absolutely delighted for them. The way they play football is absolutely brilliant. Mark McHugh's added some sort of steeliness into this Westmeath side. They absolutely deserve a lot of credit for the way they put away Meath, for the way they scored their points. Like, according to the GA's website, Luke Loughlin, their star man, got 6 points, 1 2-pointer, all from play. If you need a clutch player to turn up, this is the guy to do it. And this was a fantastic performance by Westmeath to beat their rivals. And let's not kid ourselves. Westmeath have a real chance of winning their second ever Leinster Championship. Let's be honest here. Because you look at the draw now. They face Kildare in the semi-final, a side that have only won 1 out of their last 6 games competitively. Then in the Leinster final, a Dublin side that are not firing on all the cylinders, and Louth, who it may be difficult for them to win back-to-back Leinster Championships. Westmeath now have a serious opportunity on their hands, and they've created it for themselves. It's an absolutely brilliant win. Congratulations to everybody involved. It's a fantastic win for them, and yeah, what a display!
Yeah, it was absolutely unbelievable. Like, this is a result where when I was seeing it develop, like on Scorpio, because obviously it wasn't available to watch. We won't get into that. But I was seeing it develop on Scorpio. I was like, surely not. And then when I seen that Meath were kind of reeling them back in slightly, I was like, God, this would be such a typical Westmeath game over the last 2 years. But we've plenty of comments flying in. Everybody absolutely delighted for Westmeath. Like, Liam, look at all these comments. Everyone is absolutely buzzing for Westmeath. And it's fair to say, when you look over the last 2 years, I think they've earned this bit of luck.
Oh, they absolutely have. Like, it's funny, like, I'm from Offaly, so you'd be thinking I wouldn't be too happy for Westmeath, which, like, I'm not going to sit here and jump around or anything, but, like, I know some of the Westmeath lads, I know a lot of Westmeath journalists, like Jerry Buckley, Jerry Russell, absolute gents, and they live and breathe and die Westmeath GA, and I am actually kind of delighted for them, and I'm delighted for Mark McHugh as well. Interviewed him a couple of times. He comes across as a really, really down-to-earth guy, and I think he's added, like you said, a bit of steel to this Westmeath team, to be honest with you. I don't look into them missing out on promotion, to be quite honest with you. I look at their performances more so, and I think their performance levels did go up this season. Their players look to be back on form. And I mean, 9 goals in their last 2 games, and neither of them were like at home. Like, they were both essentially away games. Is absolutely sensational. It's fantastic. If I was on the pod the other night, I actually would have said this would have been the one game I think could be a shock. I said on my own page that I think Meath will win this game by 4 points, but they won't hammer Westmeath or anything like that. And yeah, just seeing it come down the home stretch, I will agree with you on one thing. I thought Meath were I was waiting for Scorpio's page to just pop up and say Aaron Lynch or Owen Frayne goal and Meath have won, and, you know, Westmeath were going to turn into Arsenal and just bottle it, you know, once again. But yeah, no, it's a fantastic win for them to get over the line like this. And like Matthew said, they have a real chance of winning Leinster. There's absolutely no question about it. I think they'll beat that Kildare team in the semi-final. Spoiler alert, but I think they will. I think they're in much better form than Kildare right now. They should have bet them in the Leinster Championship last season. And like you said, your Sam McCartins, your Luke Loughlin's, your Brandon Kelly's, your Breon Cooney's, Ray Cannellans, I should say, they're top class players. And I think they're going to go a long, long way. And I think Mark McHugh, for the job that he's done so far, he deserves a lot of credit. And this is now putting Down in an awkward position as well in terms of staying in the All-Ireland series as well. So, look, great win for Westmeath. And yeah, clearly we know nothing about football, some of us, because some of us predicted Meath to win the Leinster Championship. Your one still stands.
My pick's still alive.
Yeah, but no, but you know what it is? It's great for Leinster football that we've got this sort of a shock, to be honest.
It is. I suppose I have one more thing to add as well. Mullingar CBS won the Hogan Cup as well in schools football. Westmeath football is on the up, it has to be said. Like they beat Dublin under 20 level as well. And minor as well. It's just brilliant for Westmeath. They have players coming through the ranks. They have a brilliant senior team at this present moment. Mark McHugh seems to be getting a tune out of them as well. Like, it's all positives for Westmeath, other than the fact, obviously, they didn't get promoted for Division 3, but that was, to be fair to them, it was a last-minute goal from Sean Ryan that denied them. But other than that, they've been absolutely brilliant this year, and Westmeath football is certainly on the up.
Oh, it certainly is. Peter says that win will give Westmeath some confidence. It certainly will. But yeah, incredible victory for Westmeath. Probably, I think, definitely the result of the weekend, and arguably the result of the championship so far. You have to put it into consideration with Leitrim beating Sligo and results like that. But I think it's fair to say this one would have trumped it had it have gone the way of Wicklow. Dublin escape Auckland barely. 2-16 to 2-14. We come out on top. Aaron, if you're still watching, we'd love to get more comments in from you on this game, because obviously Aaron was down at it. I couldn't make this one, unfortunately, today. But I'm just scrolling back up, looking for Aaron's comment on the game. He says here, Dublin were absolutely brutal today. Wicklow should have won by 4 or 5. Could be the only championship game that Dublin win this year. The reality is that it's quite a sobering one, just because, like, Wicklow they're a fantastic team, no question about it, in terms of, you know, the performance that they put in and the players that they have. But the reality is they are a team that failed to get out of Division 4. And if we have aspirations of competing at the top table, this is a game that we have to be winning more comfortably and more confidently. We're still in the competition. So reality is, I don't really care how we've got through. I don't really care. But you have to look at this situation and go, the signs are there. The signs are there that if we don't shape up, we're going to be out of the Leinster Championship very, very soon. We face Louth next. If we play like that against Louth, we'll get hockeyed. Like, we won't even lose. We'll get hockeyed. Brian, I believe, Brian, were you at the game? If you were, Brian, I'd love to get your take on it. He says we're going to have a very short summer. Gaelic guy saying Dublin should have lost to a Division 4 side. Incredible. Peter saying Louth looking for a historic back-to-back. To be honest, at this stage, you'd probably say Louth are favourites, having looked at how the championship has unfolded. Wicklow's lack of decision-making and taking the wrong options cost them. Obviously, I haven't seen this game because, again, wasn't available to watch anywhere. Again, don't get me started on that. But what I have heard is that Wicklow missed plenty of chances. Goal chance from JP Hurley and Mark Jackson missing a couple of opportunities for 2-pointers, etc. So, and Aaron saying there that Wicklow should have won. Like, that's pretty sobering. So there's no question about it. I can't really weigh in too much, but you don't want to hammer the lads. Reality is we were in a sticky situation and we got out with the win. But the lads will know as much as anyone that's not going to be good enough against Louth, and we need to shape up fast. But anyway, we're going to move on now to the final two Leinster Senior Football Championship quarterfinals. I'm going to throw these ones to you, Liam, because these ones were relatively more straightforward. Laois put it up to Kildare, but Kildare ultimately came out on top 220 to 215 in St. Conleth's Park, while Louth made light work of Wexford, 125 to 11 points. I didn't see it being that easy for the wee county, especially after Wexford pushed down all the way in that Division 3 final.
Yeah, I saw Louth winning this game by like 8 points in the end in comfortable fashion, but not by, what's that, 17? Double scores essentially, or just over double scores, but
way over.
I've done an Elia Luco here, Jesus. But Yeah, no, look, a great win for Louth. Fairly standard, fairly comfortable. And yeah, I mean, what more could you want? Sam Mulroy in form, Connor Early, Darren McDonald, getting 3 points each in the middle of the park, 6 points in total. Just a substandard afternoon for Louth, to be honest with you. And they'll be licking their lips now, seeing the likes of Meath gone, seeing how they'll see how Dublin performed today, and they'll probably be licking their lips to try and win the Leinster Championship back-to-back. But having said that, I don't know if Louth will want anyone picking them as favourites at this point after what happened to poor Meath today. But yeah, in terms of the other game, look, good win for Kildare. They got over the line. Look, they were relatively in a comfortable enough position anyways against Laois, I would say. Derek Irwin's goal put the sealer on it, to be honest with you, but I never felt like Laois were going to trouble them to the degree. I mean, it was kind of nip and tuck for a period, but then I believe it was from the 40th minute onwards, Kildare just kicked into another gear and they kind of never really looked back after that. So look, good win for Kildare. They're into the Leinster semi-finals. And look, Kildare and Westmeath will be an absolutely fascinating contest as well, whether it's in Portlaoise or I'd imagine it'll probably be in Portlaoise, considering Dublin are playing Louth. That might be in Tullamore, maybe, just without the advantage and all that. But yeah, no, or there's no advantage. Jeez, what am I saying? God almighty. I need to go to bed. But no, great win for Kildare. They'll be fancying their chances against Westmeath, but yeah, should be cracking semi-final.
Absolutely. So that they are our semi-finalists. Westmeath, Louth. So Louth will face Dublin and Westmeath will face Kildare. At this moment in time, I'd be very, very hesitant to stick with my pick of Dublin after that result today. But you know what? I'll double down. Why not? But yeah, we're going to move on now. Matthew, I'll go to you for the Ulster Senior Football Championship quarter-finals. On paper, 2 relatively comfortable victories at the end of it. Monaghan get their championship campaign off to a winning start, beating local rivals Cavan's 27 points to 2-14 in Clonus, while Derry overshook a bit of a shaky start. Antrim hit the back of the net first, but then Derry completely took control and won the game 2-23 to 1-13 in Celtic Park.
See the figures of Derry and Antrim actually from Carl O'Kane on X, and like Derry had 43 shots from what I read, and Antrim had 20. It was just a case that Derry are just the better team. I think Hugh Cal mentioned on the Saturday game last night in commentary, and yeah, I think that was the case. Derry, much better team. They should be Division 1, let's be honest. I don't know, like against Louth, that was kind of the result that did them. But they are Division 1, top of Division 2 team. Antrim are Division 4, and that's how it played out. Derry are just a much better team, and they will be licking their lips again to a first Ulster final since 2023. As for Monaghan, look, it was a good win, 27 points to 2-14 against Cavan. Look, either side haven't performed well in the league, and it would have been a confidence booster for either to win, and Monaghan got the win in the end. Home advantage probably did the trick. You have to mention Stephen Mooney got 5 points from play, was probably man of the match in this one. But yeah, good result for Monaghan. But you look at that Ulster final now between Derry and Monaghan, and it'd be hard to look past Derry in that game, let's be honest. And look at the other side of the draw now next week. It's very interesting with Down, as Liam mentioned there. They have to beat Donegal, judged by Westmeath's form. So yeah, suddenly the Ulster Championship is getting interesting, but nothing to do with what's going on in the championship itself, but elsewhere.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we're going to move on after that. So 2 relatively straightforward wins there. We had then the final code was the Camogie action, which took place from the Provincial Championships. Liam, you were at this one, so I'm going to throw this one to you. And Matthew, I'll go to you for the Munster preliminary round fixtures. Dublin beating Offaly in this one, Liam, 3-15 to 2-9 in O'Connor Park. The Dubs, led by the likes of Ashland Mark, come out of O'Connor Park with the win in this one.
Yeah, and look, ultimately, I've no issue saying this. Dublin were the better side overall. I thought Offaly started the game relatively well. I thought our pressing was really good. I felt in the middle of the park as well, we were really putting Dublin under severe pressure in order to try and get the ball into their forward line. But we just weren't able to fully sustain it. Unfortunately, Grace O'Shea, it's a tongue twister. Grace O'Shea getting a very, very well taken goal. And even then, I think we responded well, but then just a lot of silly fouls given away. And when you're giving Ashley Maher frees, I mean, it's good night and good luck and God bless, to be honest with you. So look, overall, Dublin were the better side. They kicked on in the second half. Aoife Liffey getting a red card wasn't helpful in the slightest either. To be fully honest with you, But yeah, Grace O'Shea getting their second goal, and it was game, set, and match after that. Kerry Finnegan getting the third goal. Look, we rallied late on and put a bit of respectability on the scoreboard with Marie Tehan, who, you know, always comes up with the goods for us. She finished the game getting our final 2 goals and 2 points in the last few minutes. But overall, Dublin the better side. It's Carlow now, I believe, isn't it, in the semi-finals? So I think they'll fancy their chances in that. And yeah, they'll be one of the favourites to win the Leinster Championship now. And yeah, look, they're a very, very good team, well organised. And yeah, they deserve the victory overall. So Dublin beat Offaly yesterday and drew with them. So it wasn't a bad day out for the Dubs in the end.
Wasn't a bad day out at all. We did get the win in the football as well, but obviously leave out the context of how close it was. Matthew, I'll go to you then for the Munster Senior Camogie Championship preliminary rounds. A couple of surprising results. Waterford got the win in this one against Clare, 25 points to 315. I'm surprised at how close it was, given Waterford's form in the league and the fact that they made it to the final and looked $1 million, especially in the opening of the campaign. More surprised with this one. Tipperary beating Cork in Semple Stadium 118 to 2-9. So Tipp and Waterford progressed to the next round.
Yeah, it was a good win for Waterford in the end. It was after extra time and it seemed like an absolute thriller. Ashlyn Cooney seemed like she got the goal for Clare. I don't know, would it have gone to extra time or spot kicks or whatever, but yeah, it was a good win for Waterford in the end, who got a winning point from Roisin Kieran, the substitute, getting that one. Niamh Rockett got 10 points. Annie Fitzgerald got 3 as well. But Clare, they won Division 1B. I think they will be a threat in the Senior Championship, especially with the way the Camogie Championship has been structured this year in terms of having the lower ranked 6 teams in that, and then the top 2 go into the quarterfinals, which is obviously good for the competition. And I think Clare will actually do well in that competition when you look at their form and you look at their league form and everything like that. But yeah, confidence boosting performance from Clare, but Waterford will be just happy to get the job done in a thriller. Tipperary Cork, the thing is, I'm not really shocked. Like, this is Cork's 4th loss in 6 games competitively. We just aren't clicking. It's just not going right. Maybe a few things. Number one, in terms of retirements, Laura Tracy was a massive loss in the off-season. Ashley Thompson was on the line today, obviously injured until July. That's a massive loss for Cork. And it's basically a youngish team. Like, Orla Callanga 1-1 and Saoirse McCarthy got 6 points. But other than that, like, Cork didn't have really much inspiration. And as for Tipp, they have more of a settled team. And you look at their scores, like Emer McGrath got 1-4, Grace O'Brien got 3 points, Eva Stakelum and Kate Ralph got 2 points each as well. And even Emer Heffernan got 2 points off the bench as well. Tipperary look more settled at this present moment. Cork don't. And hopefully that kind of changes going to the championship. But I'm thinking it will. Hopefully it has to click at some stage for this Cork team. It is an inexperienced side, but we'll have to see how it all plays out in the All-Ireland Championship. Obviously, it is difficult in the group with Galway, Waterford and Tipperary in that group, but you're in the knockout stages regardless of what happens in that round-robin stage. So that's a positive at least, but yeah, a lot to work on for Cork.
Absolutely. So Brian asking here, saying, Seamus, what's the main concern that you have, obviously, about the Dubs? To be honest, Brian, I can't really answer it right now. There's a lot to be concerned about, I think, in terms of the football team right now. I haven't got to see the game yet. Obviously, the highlights will be on the Sunday game. I wish that they would just stream it live so we could watch. But it's obviously another topic for another time. But I do think streaming it live on YouTube the way the TG Car do, and then using those highlights for the Sunday game, I think is the way to go. But Brian saying in the league, we had a few good players who had been exposed to senior football. We lost 4 of the 6 games. Yeah, the reality is there's no doubt our trajectory is heading in the wrong direction right now, but I do think we can turn around. I think we've got the right man at the helm under Jerry Brennan. Just it will take time. And unfortunately, we will have to be patient. We aren't going to be as successful over the next few years as we have been over the previous decade. But yeah, that is it for this weekend review show. We've gone through all of the action from the 3 codes that took place this weekend in the hurling, in the football, and in the camogie. Thank you so much to everybody who tuned in and got involved in the comments. You really helped to make it another thoroughly enjoyable weekend review show. My thanks to Liam and Matthew for jumping on with me for another episode. Ryan says, lads, thanks very much. See you Thursday at 8. Peter saying, great review, lads. Thanks a mil. Have a good week. Won't see you Thursday. See you next Sunday for the review of week 3. Yes, well said, lads. We will be back on Thursday at 8 p.m. for the weekend preview show and also the LGFA Championship preview episode live in studio will drop because obviously the Provincial Championships start for the LGFA next weekend. So thank you so much to everybody for joining us for another episode. Until Thursday at 8 p.m. when we chat to you all again. Torah.
Instinct, baby. Follow your instinct.